Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Welcome again to Nahu al-Tatbiqi. Today we're looking at Iqtiran Jawab al-Shart bil-Fa. We've already gone through this one, but let's quickly summarize what we learned earlier in the episode. Here we're looking at a situation in Lughat al-Arabiya where you have to pair um, the Jawab al-Shart with Fa. Remember, we said that in Arabic, conditional sentences are made up of adatu shart, adat shart. The adatu shart is basically the particles of the conditions. So in English, most of the time we say if, right? Or sometimes we use when, and then sometimes you can also use whenever, like if it rains, I will go. If it rains, I will go. So this is if is the what we call the adatu shart, and then it rains is what we call jumlatu ashart. Jumlatu shart, right? So if it's like if the if statement jumlatu shart, and then inside the jumlatu shart we have fi'l shart, and then the fi'l shart is the rains, right? If it rains, that's the fi'l, that's the verb, right? And then we have the other one is jumlatu jawab, jumlatu jawab ashart, and that is the then statement. If then, right? If it's rain, I will go. So I will go here. This is the jumla jawab ashart. I will go. But in Lughat al-Arabiya, sometimes you have to, you are required to add fa, the letter fa, to the beginning of the the then statement or jumla to jawab ashart, or we can say the answer statement or the response statement. That's the jumla jawab shart. Because if it rains, I will go. I will go is a response statement to, you are responding to the fact that you made a condition earlier. So it has to be fulfilled as a result. Now, in a situation where you add a fa to the jawab shart, we've already discussed it in our earlier lesson. We said جملة اسمية طلبية جامد وبما وقد ولن وبالتنفيذ. أن تكون الجملة اسمية. The جملة must be جملة اسمية. For instance, إن يمسسك الله بخير وإن يمسسك بخير ف. So this is جملة اسمية. هو. Start here. هو is ضمير. هو is a pronoun. And then أن تكون ماذا؟ أن تكون الجملة طلبية. That's the second condition. أن تكون أن تكون جملة فعلية فعلها طلبي. The جملة must be فعلية, right? The sentence must start with a verb, but the verb must be what? طلبي. A طلبي is what we call command. It's a command verb. Command verb. Like إن كنتم تحبون الله ف. Why is the fa here? It's because of فاتبعوني. اتبعوني. اتبع means follow. You are commanding the person to follow. So it's Palabi. And then the third condition is we discuss أن تكون يعني الجملة فعلية فعلها جامد, right? فعلها جامد. The فعل in the جواب um, جملة الجواب must be um, فعلية, but this time the فعل must be فعل الجامد. فعل جامد like ليس, um, عسى, نعمة, and بئس. There are some فعل جامد in لغة العربية, right? There are other فعل جامد like حبذا and all that. But here we're looking at the fact that Laysa, asa, ni'ma, and bi'sa, they are the one in consideration here. Okay, so the fi'l jamid that can call for fa, typically in Lugat al-Arabiya, is laysa. So for example here, قوله تعالى ومن يفعل ذلك فا ومن يفعل ذلك فا فليس من الله في شيء. سورة آل عمران قوله تعالى ومن يفعل ذلك فا فليس. So you can see that the fa is introducing the word جملة جواب الشرطية. أو قوله تعالى إن ترني أنا أقل منك مالا وولدا فعسى ف So this is فعل الجامد. عسى is فعل الجامد. ليس is فعل الجامد. And then you can look for examples where فعل جامد like نعمة and بئس has been paired or coupled or associated with fa in the Quran. There are some examples there. You can do that research in your Quran and see where a situation where you're gonna see fa ni'ma, right? Fa ni'ma, fa ni'ma ajarul amilin, or fa labisa, or fa bi'sa mathwal mutakabbirin. There are some examples in the Quran where ni'ma and bi'sa have been used. And then the fourth requirement is antakuna jumla. The jumla must be, the sentence must be fi'liya. However, fi'luha manfi. Fi'luha manfi. The fi'l must be negative, right? And these are negative particles in Lugat al-Arabiya. Len wa ma. And don't confuse this ma with ma that means what. For instance, ma hada. When you say ma hada, here the ma means what. But this ma is ma negative. For instance, say ma qara'tu, right? Ma qara'tu, I didn't read. Ma qara'tu, I didn't read. Ma fahima, ma fahima, he didn't understand. So this ma is negative particle, right? This ma is negative particle. But ma hada, this ma is used for interrogative. It's used to ask a question or question. So you need to be able to differentiate between ma and len. Ma and len. And ma len is always negative. It doesn't have any connotation or denotation. But ma is always kind of a dynamic particle. Sometimes it means this, sometimes it means that. But you have to be aware or appreciate when it is used as um, a negative particle. And this is what we're looking at. أن تكون الجملة فعلية فعلها منفي بلن أو ما نحو. Let's look at some examples as we did earlier. وما تفعلوا من خير ف وما تفعلوا من خير فلن يكفروا. وقوله تعالى وإن لم تفعل فما بلغت الرسالة. And then the requirement number 5 that we look at in our earlier lesson is أن تكون الجملة فعلية فعلها مقرون بقد. The jumla in the جملة جواب الشرط must be جملة فعلية. However, this time the fi'l must be what? مقرون, must be paired, right? Or must be associated, or must be attached to, or must be coupled with had, the particle had, right? Had. Remember in our earlier lessons, some of the lessons we learn how to use the word qad. That can be used with fi'l al-madi, and then it can be used with fi'l al-mudari. When it's used with fi'l al-madi, it implies, I'm sorry, it implies what we call certainty. And then when it's used with fi'l al-mudari, it means probability. right? It indicates probability that it is going to be or it's not. It's like قد أفلح قد أفلح المؤمنون قد أفلح المؤمنون قد أفلح المؤمنون. So you see that the قد is being used is قد plus فعل الماضي. So this is certainty. قد أفلح المؤمنون. But if you say قد 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 يذهب, for instance, قد يذهب قد يذهب, here you are trying to say maybe, probably he will go, probably he will go. قد يذهب, قد يقول, قد يقول هذا, he will probably say this. So when you use قد with فعل المضارع, you are implying probability, and you are implying mayism. You are saying may, and it may not. But in the concept, or in what we're looking at as far as conditional sentences are concerned in Lughat al-Arabiya, there are situations where you have to um, pair the jumla to yani jawab shart with fa. And this is going to happen in a situation where you have qad over there, right? And then the qad is starting a jumla al-fi'liya, but there's a qad. Jumla to fi'liya fi'luha makrunun bi qad. There's a jumla to fi'liya, but the fi'l is paired, and this is the fi'l saraqa. In yasriq faqad saraqa. This is the fi'l, right? So this is the beginning of the sentence here, jumla to fi'liya, but qad has been paired with the saraqa. So as a result, we have to say fa. Does it make sense now? In yasriq faqad saraqa. Why is the fa here? It's the fa is here because of the qad. And then the qad is also here because of this fi'l. Because this fi'l has been paired. Saraqa has been paired with qad. So as a result, it paved, or it paves the way for fa rabat to be used here. Now, let's look at number 6. That's the final one. أن تكون الجملة فعلية أن تكون الجملة جملة فعلية مقرونة بسين أو سوف. And this is what we call the tanfis, where you flip a fail into the future by using seen or sofa. So that was what we look at the last time. And let's look at i'rab ash-shart wal jawab. Again, when you are constructing a conditional sentence in Lughat al-Arabiya, you're going to have the adat, the particle, right? And the particle, remember, we have 11 particles for conditions in Arabic. We have 11 particles, and two of them, in and isma, they are huruf. They are considered as letters. And then the rest, like ayana, aina, anna, anna, ma, mata, mahma, and on, etc. There are 11 of them. So you can go back to the beginning of the topic to keep yourself abreast with them or review. So we have the composition, right? The composition of conditional sentence in Lughat al-Arabiya. I said you have to have the adat. We have 11 of them. And then you have to have jumla to shart, right? Jumla to shart, jumla to shart. And then the third part is jawab shart, or jumla to jawab shart. You can call it jawab shart or jumla to jawab shart. So in Arabic, you compose a conditional sentence by looking at these three elements or three compositional parts. Now we want to do parsing, and this is very important. Let's do parsing, i'rab. How do you do i'rab for the shart and the jawab, right? So the first thing is you have to look at the first part of it. In kana mudari'an shartan aw jawaban wajaba jazmuhu. إن كان مضارع المضارع شرطا أو وجوبا وجب جزمه. Now let's look at this very important. If the conditional part has مضارع فعل المضارع, right? إن كان مضارع شرطا أو جوابا, so the if and the then. شرطا is the if side and the jawaban is the then side. So if and then, if you have a verb that is mudari, then it's wajib. It's required that you do jazm, right? You do jazm. And jazm simply is making the final letter of the fi'il sukun. That's basically jazm. Make it sukun. For instance, وَإِن تَتَوَلَّوْا يَسْتَبْدِلْ وَإِن تَتَوَلَّوْا. Now here, as we know, we don't see the jazm because this is تتولى, right? تتولى, but it's jama'a. It's talking about a group of people, a collective um, being. So, and it's part of the af'al al-khamsa. It's part of the af'al al-khamsa. So there's a khasf noon here. But if you look at the yastabdil sukun, so you can see that this is mudari, the fail shart is mudari, and then the fail jawab shart is also mudari. So since you have mudari here, there's a sukun, but we don't see the sukun here because this is one of the af'al al-hamsa. It should have been وَإِن تَتَوَلَّوْنَ وَإِن تَتَوَلَّوْنَ. But because of the in here, this is the particle. Okay? This is a conditional particle, remember? But this is considered a particle, but grammatically speaking, it's a letter. You consider it as harf, right? Or a word or a phrase. Harf can be a phrase too. Right? But in tatawallu, why don't we see the schoon right here? This is not the schoon. The schoon should have been on the noon, but the noon has been apocryphated. It has been deleted because it is one of the what? Af'al khamsa. Because there's waw jama or noon. But this one is not because yastabdil, he is going to change or he will change. So it's singular. So you see the sukun right here. So the shart, the fi'l shart is mudari and the jawab shart is mudari. So as a result, wajaba jazmuhu. We have to make it jazm. And again, jazm means make the end of the verb sukun. قوما غيركم. Let's look at the next example. تتولوا. This is how we do the إعراب. تتولوا فعل المضارع فعل الشرط مجزوم, right? مجزوم بإن وعلامة جزمه حذف النون. حذف النون. The noon has been deleted here. Instead of تتولون, right? Should have been تتولون وإن تتولون. But the Arabs, grammarians are saying, no, you don't have to showcase the noon. Delete it, right? Delete it. And then in place of the noon, we see this alif with a naturalization mark on it. It's not sukun. What is on the alif is not sukun. Sometimes it's yaw sagira like this. So this is not sukun. So when you see this too, you can bet your $100 that noon was there and the noon was deleted. So instead of wa in tatawallawna, grammar is saying delete the noon. So in the end, you're gonna write tata wallaw. Then you bring this alif. Wa in tatawallaw. So we are saying فعل المضارع فعل الشرط مجزوم ب in وعلامة جزمه حذف النون. Why do we have to delete the noon? because لأنه من أفعال الخمسة. We've already discussed the rules of أفعال الخمسة. Now, what is this wow? What kind of wow is that? Wow al-jama'ah, collective war, right? Collective war. Collective war indicates plurality. That's it. It indicates plural. Like they are going. يذهبون, يقرؤون, ينامون, يفهمون, يجلسون. So يجلسون, the wa and the noon is considered waw jama and the noon. So that wa is waw jama. So when you use a conditional particle or conditional particle precedes the fi'l al-mudari that is in the situation of a jama'a, then you have to delete the noon. And then in place of the noon, you introduce that alif with a neutralizer on it to indicate a difference. So waw jama'a is tatawallaw, law, the wa in front of the lam is waw jama'a. And it's also domir muttasil, right? It's a domir muttasil. It's a collective, it's a connective, I'm sorry. It's a connective domir. Mabni, when we say something is mabni, is static at the end, it doesn't change in vowel structure. Static at the end, mabni al sukun. في محل الرفع فاعل, right? في محل in the position of رفع and it's also فاعل. The واو جماعة is فاعل, is the subject. يستبدل, استبدل, استبدل, استبدل to change. استبدل to change or to substitute or to alter. يستبدل فعل المضارع جواب الشرط مجزوم. مجزوم, why is it مجزوم? بإن. Remember, in is one of the adat that can make jazm to two fi'l al-mudari in a sentence. So if you have two fi'l al-mudari in a sentence and the in starts, the in is going to make the two fi'l al-mudari majzoom. So let's move on to the. So وعلامة جزمه السكون, right? In, so you can see استبدل ends in sukun, and that is the alama to jazm. والفاعل, who is the subject here? The subject is hidden. The subject is a domir, is a pronoun, hidden, a hidden pronoun. جوازا, see, by permissive, a permissive hidden pronoun. There are situations in Arabic where you are compelled to hide a pronoun in a sentence. And there are some situations in Lughat al-Arabiya where you are just permitted. You are just permitted. That is to say, if you want, you can let the pronoun out in a sentence, like huwa. So it could have been wa in tawallaw yastabdil, wa in tawallaw huwa yastabdilu, or wa in tawallaw yastabdilu huwa qawman. So this huwa has been hidden in the sentence here because yastabdilu, this ya is huwa, is he, but we have to hide the huwa. So, and this is what we call damir mustatir, the hidden damir. For instance, if you say yadhabu, يذهب إلى المسجد, إلى المسجد. Now, who? Man. Man. Who? But the ya is indication of he. That's a damir, huwa. Right? So the huwa is the fa'il. يذهب إلى المسجد. Who is the fa'il? Who is the subject? Who is going to the masjid? So here you see that you have hidden the pronoun. You have hidden the pronoun. So we say it's jawaz. If you want, you can let it out. And then the takdir, or we can guesstimate that is huwa, right? Yestabdil. The grammatical guesstimation, that is the takdir, is huwa. So let's look at the i'rab, the second i'rab concept of the jawab al-shart. وإن كان الماضي شرطا. So there are situations where the verb in the جملة الشرط is ماضي وإن كان ماضي شرطا أو جوابا, and then or the جواب or the response statement has a fail, that is also ماضي. كان في محل جزم. Now it's going to be في محل إيه الجزم, because فعل الماضي cannot be مجزوم, right? فعل الماضي is مبني على الفتحة, so it cannot be جزم. So therefore, when you're doing this kind of i'rab or passing, you have to say في محل, في محل, في محل. You are saying that uh, in in the stead of جزم, جزم. So that is to say, okay, there was supposed to be jazm over there, but I cannot let the jazm appear because of the past tense verb. That's what you are saying. So I cannot let it appear. So therefore, the fi'l al-madi that you see there is standing in place of the jazm, but the jazm is not showing. That's the concept of mahal in Arabic, right? It's like the king is not there, so somebody is sitting in his place. Let's look at this example. قوله تعالى إن أحسنتم لأنفسكم. Now, this is the word أحسن. In أحسنتم. Now, أحسن, the verb, the ayah should have been in أحسن. Look at that. In أحسن أنتم. In أحسن أنتم. In أحسن أنتم. أحسن أنتم. أحسن أنتم لأنفسكم. This is kind of the bare knuckle of the whole thing. أحسن أنتم, أحسن أنتم لأنفسكم. But in لغة العربية, فعل الماضي and أنتم, we put them together and then we have أحسنتم. So we have to take off. So you see that there's noon here, there's noon here. So if you take off the alif, then one has to go away. Then there's a noon sakina here. So ahsana, one noon is gone. And then we retain the ahsana antum. In ahsantum li anfusikum. Ay in ahsana antum, in ahsana antum, santum li anfusikum. So where is the jazm? The jazm is not going to show because the verb is fi'l al-madi. So فعل الماضي فعل الشرط مبني على السكون في محل جزم. التاء ضمير متصل مبني على الدم في محل الرفع فاعل. الميم حرف للدلالة على الجمع مذكور. Very, very important. The meme in the antum, right? The meme is a harf, it's a letter للدلالة that is used to indicate or that has an implication على جمع الذكور, that is telling us something about what? Plural, the plural of men, right? Or masculinity or male. Because antum is a damir that we use to indicate the plural of dhukur. So we say لا محل له من الإعراب, right? It has no any position in the passing. In Arabic passing, that means we can say anything about it. All we can say is it's an indication of what? Plural of men. That's it. أحسنتم فعل الماضي جواب الشرط مبني على السكون في محل الجزم. التاء ضمير متصل مبني على الدم في محل الرفع. الميم again حرف الدلالة على جمع الذكور لا محل له من الإعراب. Let's look at the condition 3. وإن كان الجواب جملة مقترنة بالفعل. He's saying that in case that the جواب الشرط of the conditional sentence is paired or is associated or is coupled with fa or either. الفجائية, we talk about this, إيجاب فجائية كانت في محل الجزم. Then we're gonna also do إعراب محل الجزم, جواب الشرط, جواب الشرط. So let's look at some examples. قوله تعالى وإن يمسسك بخير, وإن يمسسك بخير أو وإن يمسسك بخير فهو. There's fa here. So how do we do this? How do you do this إعراب? فهو على كل شيء قدير, جملة اسمية في محل جزم جواب الشرط. That's how you do the إعراب. That's it. جملة اسمية في محل جزم جواب الشرط. I know by this time you understand the difference between جملة اسمية and جملة فعلية. قوله تعالى وإن تصبكم سيئة بما قدمت أيديهم, وإن تصبكم سيئة بما قدمت أيديهم إذا هم يقنطون, إذا هم يقنطون. So how do you do the إعراب of إذا هم يقنطون? With إذا فجائية, you have to say جملة اسمية في محل جزم جواب الشرط. So you don't have to go into detail إذا إذا is أداة this and that and that. No, you put everything together. جملة اسمية في محل جزم جواب الشرط. Now, again, let's look at another component of the conditional sentence in Lughat al-Arabiya. Now, remember, in the beginning, I said in the Lugha, conditional sentence is made up of what? Adat, right? Adat. And then we have Jumla al-Shart. Jumla al-Shart is what we call the if statement, right? In English, the if side, the if statement side. Adat is basically the particle, right? In English, the most popular one is if. And then we have three. We have Jumla, Jawab, Ashart. So if you do Adat plus Jumla to Shart plus Jawab Shart, then you get conditional sentence in Arabic. So in this part, we're gonna look at how we're gonna do parsing, i'rab. We're gonna do parsing on the adawat, right? The adawat shart al jazima. Remember, we said the adawat shart al jazima. We have 11. There are 11, right? 11 in Arabic. We already know them. And out of the 11, in and izma, they are considered what? Harfan. And then the rest, like mahma, aifuma, and mata, ma, man, mata, ma, man, and what we called, we can have anna, ayana, and the rest. We can go back to the early part of the lesson and go through the adawat, right? Adawat shart al-jazima. Particles of conditions that are they perform the role of jazm. So when they are used against fi'l al-mudari, then the fi'l al-mudari is gonna end in jazm. That is to say, it's gonna end in sukun. So let's look at some of the adawat. And the writer is saying adawat shart jazima qisman. We already know that. Qisman. Qisman means two categories or two types or two forms. So kisman, we have huruf right? And it looks like the writer is bringing them again. Huruf, the huruf part is the in and the idma, just like I said. Well, asma, the rest are considered what? Nouns. Nouns. So these are considered as huruf. Huruf can just be letters. They are considered letters, or they are considered as just mere words or phrase, right? So here is very interesting because in has alif and the noon, so they are considered huruf. And then idma, one, two, three, four letters, but they are still considered huruf. This is purely grammar. Wahuma harfan. So the description is that huma harfan, they are two letters or two words, mabniyan, mabni. Again, when we say mabni, static at the end, it doesn't change, right? If something is mabni, it doesn't change in the end. We're not talking about the beginning. We're not talking about the middle. We're talking about the end. For instance, in, it ends in sukun. It's going to be in forever. You are not, you're never going to see uh, inu or ina. If you see inu and ina, then they are not in because this is mabini, right? Idma. Idma is also mabni. It's not, it's always going to end in idma. You're not going to find idmu or idmi. No. So in Lugat al Arabiya, we we tend to look at the passing or the ending consonant of a noun, right? Or harf or verbs in terms of how the ending changes, right? Or morphs, and that is the sense of morphology. Because sometimes you're gonna see uh, names like Muhammadun. The next day is gonna be Muhammadin, and then another time you're gonna see Muhammadan. So we say that the now Muhammad is not mabni. It's not mabni, but rather is what? Mu'rab. So mu'rab basically it morphs, and that's where we get morphology. So any noun or particle that morphs, that changes in the end, based on the function that is playing or receiving within a sentence, is mu'rab. But if it is static, regardless of its position in a sentence, or what it's doing in a sentence, or what is it is receiving as far as verbs activities are concerned or another subject activity is concerned, then that thing is mabni, right? Like names like Musa. Musa is always mabni. It's not gonna change. It's gonna be Musa, Musa. You're not gonna see Musi or Musa, Musu. Still the same. So when we say something is mabniyani ala sukun, mabniyani ala sukun, here is mabni ala sukun because this alif is sukun. It's not the ma. Somebody say, oh, why is the ma? Ma is fatha. Why are they both mabni ala sukun? They are mabni ala sukun because this alif has a hidden sukun on it. It's not written. لا محل لهما من الإعراب. That is, as far as parsing is concerned, we can say anything about them. That's the concept of ma la mahalla lahu min al-i'rab. It's like we got nothing to talk about them. They are just as they are. La mahalla lahu min al-i'rab means they are just that. Whatever you see is what you see. We can't say anything. We cannot say it's fa'il. We cannot say it's maf'ul bihi. We cannot say it's harf ismu majrur. We cannot say it's mudaf ilayh. They are just la mahalla lah. They have no they have no position. They have no position in Arabic grammar or Arab. Now let's look at the asma part of the adawat shart. We have man, ma, mahma, mata, ayana, aina, haythuma, anna, wa ayyu, right? Wa ayyu. وكلها, all of them, أسماء مبنية. They are also مبني. لا محل لها من الإعراب أداة except, right? أداة أي. So all of them are مبني except أي. Why? Because the أي, sometimes we can have أي. Sometimes we can have أي. And sometimes we can have أي. أي. You can say من أي or إلى أي or في أي. But أي أي من أي إلى أي في أي فوق فوق أي تحت أي تحت أي and on and on and on إلى آخره. Then this is what we call مؤرب. So in Arabic morphology, we consider something as مؤرب or مبني. مؤرب morphs. It morphs at the end. It changes like أي فتحة, أي مرفوع بالضمة, أي مجرور بمن, right? إلى أي في أي فوق أي تحت أي and on and on. So the asma, as far as the adawat shart are concerned, we have man, ma, mahma, mata, ayana, aina, haythuma, anna, wa ay. All these, all of them, they are mu'rab, right? They are all mu'rabah. They morph, right? They morph, I'm sorry. All of them are mabni, excuse me. All of them are mabni except ma'ada. You can say ma'ada or ada. Ma'ada or ada. Ma'ada, ada is another word for illa, if you're not aware of it. So, من وما ومحما ومتى أيانا وأين حيثما أنا وأي مبني. They are all mabni. That is to say, they are not dynamic in the end. The ending is the same. You're gonna see man with sukun forever, ma with sukun forever, mahma ending in sukun forever, mata, ayana, ayana fatha forever. You're not gonna have ayanu or ayani. Okay, it's gonna be ayana forever. Wa aina is aina forever. Haythuma is gonna be haythuma forever. Anna is gonna be anna forever. However, ay is mu'rabah because it's gonna change dynamic in the end. So you're gonna have ayya, ayyu, ayyi, ila ayyi, fi ayyi, fawqa ayyi, tahta ayyi, and on and on. So our next lesson, we're gonna be looking at how you're going to do i'rab of all these. والأسماء هي محل البحث. He said this asma here is the focus of our research or of the topic that we're going to look at, our investigation. والتفصيل إعرابها تفصيل وتفصيل إعرابها على نحو التالي. تفصيل إعرابها على النحو التالي. So the explanation is below. So we're going to take our time next time we meet to go through how we're going to do إعراب of man, ma, mahma, mata, ayana, وأين, حيثما, أنا, وأي. But before we go, remember أدوات الشرط الجازمة in اللغة العربية, they are 11. Two of these in وإذما, they are considered harfan, and the rest are considered asma, nouns. And among the asma, من ما مهما متى أيان وعين وحيثما وأن. They are considered مبنيات. And أي or أيو is considered what more, because it moves at the end. It's dynamic at the end. Sometimes it's gonna be ayu. Some another time you're gonna have ayi, and you're gonna have ayya. And this is based on the functionalities of the kalima or the noun ayu. I hope you've benefited from this lesson. Thank you so much for your time. Jazakumullahu khairan. دمتم بخير ونلتقي إن شاء الله. السلام عليكم.